Special shout out to Conrad Dosium 2225 for writing, researching, and working on this project. Their name will go in the annals of Ares Academy's history. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're interested. Salute, Conrad Dosium! Glory to Ares Academy! Follow Ares Academy on Discord where you can chat and discuss these topics. During the Reaper War, the files of Turian hierarchy military force numbers were lost and corrupted. However, Ares Academy is providing estimates on the size of the military forces before the Reaper War, their strategic objective, and Turian doctrine. Here are two options for the Turian Navy. The first option is to maximize the size of the fleets. With numerous statements written about the size of the Citadel race's fleets, each would have naval forces in the thousands to tens of thousands depending on the species. Option 2 is using the Systems Alliance and Prothean models for scaling the Turian fleet. However, these templates are vulnerable to the Reaper's attack due to the Protheans' failure to survive the Reaper invasions. The data shown by System Alliance allows us to calculate each fleet to be at least 100 warships and does not include support ships such as corvettes, fighters, transports, tankers, repair ships, and more. Capital ships such as dreadnoughts were fewer in number and served as command ships. There will be one dreadnought per fleet. Option 2 is the more feasible option, considering how this could create a more modular fleet. However, Ares Academy will provide the numbers for option 1. As the viewer, you may decide which option you would like to use or propose a hybrid option. Prior to the Reaper War, the Turians had a military force built for deterrence due to the 1,000 years of peace, and only carried out peacekeeping or small-scale military operations. However, Ares Academy estimates the Turian hierarchy had 32 fleets as well as 39 active dreadnoughts and 2 fighter carriers. This gave the hierarchy an advantage over the other Citadel races and the galaxy. While the fleet is numbered in the tens of thousands, most of it is support ships such as transports and corvettes. The number of warships is 4,000 or 120 warships per fleet, plus a few independent squadrons. Turian fleets are divided into 2 subgroups: Peacekeeping and War fleets. They can be distinguished by mission type and capabilities. Peacekeeping fleets made up the majority of the active Turian Navy for a total of 25 active peacekeeping fleets. Each of these fleets were deployed throughout Citadel space. They were used for smaller operations such as defending borders, pirates, and slavers. Each peacekeeping fleet consisted of 1 dreadnought serving as a flagship, followed by 17 cruisers and 102 frigates. Typically, fleets would break out into multiple patrols of 6 frigates and a cruiser to conduct patrols. As for war fleets, they were significantly more powerful, consisting of 2 dreadnoughts, 52 cruisers, and 66 frigates each. The deployment of these fleets signaled the Turian hierarchy entered a state of war. In response to the Battle of the Citadel, 2183 CE, 2 patrol fleets were converted from peacekeeping fleets to war fleets, bringing their total to 7 active fleets. Another example is during the First Contact War, Relay 314 incident. Humanity committed over half of its forces while the Turians committed a peacekeeper fleet. If Turian leadership declared war on the Systems Alliance, the Turians would wage a total war with the goal of destroying the enemy's capabilities and their ability to wage war. Additionally, independent formations were a smaller part of the Navy and were tasked with occupying new separatist regions or hunting pirates. Before the lead-up to the Reaper War, the Turian Navy was testing the fighter carrier concept and reverse-engineered Sovereign's technologies. To support Turian combat fleet forces, it would consist of over 10,000 corvettes patrolling the hierarchy systems and responsible for ensuring the protection of supply lines. Additionally, these vessels were deployed to systems deemed dangerous to the hierarchy. To support the hierarchy's military forces, the Vol Protectorate's forces would serve alongside it. Estimates placed the Vol Protectorate's warships at 480 and grouped into 4 fleets with 1 dreadnought. The majority of these warships were purchased from the Turians and modified to accommodate the Vol's physiology. What distinguished the Vol were their bomber units, which were considered the best in the galaxy. Another important point area that is overlooked is the Turian hierarchy's reserve and mothball fleets. Every citizen of the Turian hierarchy from age 15 to 30 serves the state, from soldier to administrator, construction worker, engineer, or sanitation worker. After Turians served their term, they were placed in the reserves, making it the largest reserve force in the galaxy, as the reserves would be called up in the event of a war. This is where the reserve fleet comes in to supplement Turian military forces. With technological stagnation and its vast pool of reservists, the Turian hierarchy can triple the number of active warships, outnumbering the rest of the species living in Citadel space. To ensure these new fleets have the supply lines they need, the Turian hierarchy maintained over 20,000 support vessels of different types and could call into service privately owned transport ships, which includes the Vol Protectorate merchant fleets and special support vessels. This allows the Turian fleet numbers to reach over 100,000 vessels. The design of the Turian ships is simpler compared to the other Citadel races like the Asari, Solarians, and System Alliance ships. They are easier to maintain and can serve as multi-role vessels, thus allowing the Turian naval forces to mobilize their reserves in a shorter span of time. With these advantages, the Turian hierarchy has a significant flaw in its armed forces: their physiology. Turians are a dextro-amino species and require different nutrition than levo-amino species like humans and Asari. In the galaxy, there are a small number of worlds suitable to the Turians' physiology. Strikes on these worlds could starve the Turian population due to some of these being key worlds that support the hierarchy. As for the population of the Turian hierarchy being unknown, the galactic population prior to the Reaper War was in the trillions. With the rise of the System Alliance, their population is around 15 billion. Most races have their population in the hundreds of billions. The Turians, being one of the 3 major Citadel races for the past 1,000 years, puts their population around 500 billion. For a further breakdown, 350 billion have basic military training, have served in the military, and are fit for service. In the event of a major war, the 350 billion reservists will work in critical areas of the economy, serving in roles such as shipbuilders, medics, administrators, farmers, and other skilled jobs. Additionally, the growth of the military means professions such as police and medical personnel divided into civilian and military would be merged to support the military in times of war. The Navy's active and reserve components will require 100 million personnel. Here is a breakdown of this total. Active amount of personnel required to fill the peacetime naval forces is 3 million. With heavy automation on ships, this allows for a smaller crew complement of 500,000 stationed on warships. As for Turian marine forces, which are integrated as a part of the Navy rather than a separate branch of the military compared to the System Alliance Marines, this will amount to 2 million Turian marine personnel. Another branch overlooked is the engineers and shipbuilders crucial in supporting the Turian Navy. Their jobs are necessary due to their construction to build large ships like the dreadnoughts, which could take several years to complete. The total number of engineers to support the Navy is 20 million, who actively build, repair, and maintain the ships of the Turian hierarchy to combat readiness. This gives the total active force of 25 million personnel. In addition, each branch of the Navy has a significant number of reservists who have undergone training and can be sent into combat. For a further breakdown of reserve forces, 60 million personnel will operate support vessels, including captains of private ships. Adding onto this force, 5 million personnel were trained to operate on warships and supplement to expand the manned ship forces in the event of a war. As for the Marine forces, there are 10 million reserve Marines to answer the call to arms. Finally, to build and repair ships, a reserve force of 1 billion shipbuilders and engineers will work in various civilian shipyards that could produce warships. When it comes to the Turian naval strength, this is what it could look like over the course of 5 years. They could produce 50 peacekeeper fleets and 100 war fleets over the course of 5 years. For the number of ships, this is 250 dreadnoughts, 6,050 cruisers, 11,700 frigates, 40,000 corvettes, and up to 300,000 support ships. Even the other Citadel races could not pull this off. The Asari would have problems because their ships are more resource-intensive, and their political or military system could slow the expansion of the military forces. For the Turian strategic objective, they were known as the Defenders of Citadel Space. The Turian hierarchy is the primary police force responsible for the security of all of Citadel space and ensuring protection against external threats. They possess the largest navy, protecting not only their territory but also the Vol's protectorate, independent colonies, and less powerful military members of Citadel space. One of the newer members of the Citadel Council, the System Alliance, has taken on some of the responsibilities, but their military forces are relatively small compared to the hierarchy, which is the primary muscle for the Citadel forces. As for military dominance, the Turians hold the mantle for it. The Asari and the Solarians have high-tech navies, but the Turians have the numbers as mentioned earlier on how many assets they could mobilize. One of the most important aspects of military dominance is the Treaty of Farixen. The Treaty of Farixen states that for every 5 dreadnoughts the Turians build, the other council species can build 2, and associated species can only build 1. Most species do not have the infrastructure to construct many dreadnoughts, except for the isolationist Geth, which are not members of the Citadel. The treaty gives the Turians an advantage when it comes to dreadnoughts. One problem with the Turian hierarchy's strategic objective is the System Alliance building fighter carriers. These ships are not mentioned in the Treaty of Farixen, which means the System Alliance can build as many as they would like to. However, the Turian hierarchy has experimented with building these ships. What consists of the Turian hierarchy's doctrine in war is the goal to completely destroy the enemy nation's ability to fight in current and future wars, to prevent the enemy from becoming a threat again. The Turian naval doctrine focuses on using numerical superiority to attack an entire front, exploit breakthroughs, and push the front lines away from Turian territory. In the event of a war, the Turians will implement mass mobilization to use the additional manpower to construct ships and equipment. Following, the ground forces would capture systems, fortify them, and establish new bases and supply lines. This would be the first wave of mobilizations. After the first wave of mobilizations, an assault wave targets enemy systems, raising fortifications, and the establishment of new logistical bases. All of this is done in preparation of another offensive until enemy forces are annihilated. This doctrine is only possible due to having the largest reserve manpower pool in the galaxy. This allows losses of entire fleets to be replaceable and overwhelms entire armies or fleets. As mentioned earlier, the Turians have key worlds or systems that are important to supporting the population. However, if a conventional enemy targets these worlds, it will become challenging to destroy or occupy them, as they will be met with some of the most heavily fortified planets in the galaxy and a heavy naval presence. Thank you for watching the video. Eris Academy provides lessons on anime, video games, and other fictional worlds. If you enjoy these types of videos, like, subscribe, share, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for future updates.